Welcome to the Round 6 Podcast, a weekly roundtable discussion featuring a variety of automotive subjects, interviews, special guests, and stories, hosted by the Round 6 Gearheads, Brian Stupski, Brad King, Alex Welsh, and Eric Hibbs. Joining the Gearheads on episode 17, it's the fabulous Engle brothers of Engle Brothers Fabrication and Instagram and whatever else they do.
I don't think he wants to do a podcast.
Matlock and Golden Girls.
Hey, Murder, She Wrote.
Followed by Wheel of Fortune and the news.
Wheel of Fortune.
Welcome to the Round 6 Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Alex.
I'm Eric.
And tonight we have with us the second set of brothers we've been fortunate to host on the show. And of all things, it turns out they are not only the most half Chinese, but also the tallest, both individually and combined, I guess. We have Dave and Greg Engle. Welcome to the show, guys.
Glad you guys could have us.
Thank you for having us on.
I appreciate it. We should have just let the whole thing ride from the beginning and not even recorded any of this. I think we've had more fun.
No. We're good now. We got it all over our system.
Yeah.
So we're good. I tell you, Alex is kind of our resident research expert, and I almost had a great intro lined up. I just couldn't go with it because it's just too darn funny to compare you to, the other brothers. And he had come up with something that he had great Wikipedia finds. He had there's a singer named David Engle. Guys, singer, actor, dancer, and he played the role of Smudge in the movie Forever Plaid.
Yeah. No, we're not done yet.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
It's like a ShamWow ad. But wait.
My other favorite was, was it Greg Engle, who was the ambassador to Togo? Which
Yes.
I didn't realize you had to have an ambassador to go get a sandwich, but that works out pretty good.
So
People got to eat, right?
is that like the drive up to go at Chili's, or?
That's a really high-tech way to do the whole, you fly, I buy thing. You were the ambassador to Togo's. All right.
But it looks great on a business card, though.
Yeah, try and church up that title a little bit.
If you don't add that to your business card, you've missed the boat.
Is this for here or to go?
Again with the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Wow, we must be old because we still think that shit's funny. So,
No, but in my research, I put in, Engle Brothers, and Brian's probably got the list of all the ones that I found. You guys are pretty diverse, either that or you guys are on the run from the law. That's all I can figure.
Hey, we'll keep that on the down low.
Okay, all right. What was the other one I found, Brian? You got the list. Wasn't it like a used vegetable equipment auction liquidators?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was Engle Brothers surplus vegetable equipment online auction. Now, first, say that 5 times fast.
Game over right there.
Wisconsin.
All phallic-shaped vegetables.
Imagine
That's how we're able to franchise. So.
There's like an Engle Brothers coal mining company.
There's a jewelry company.
Yeah.
How about the 2 Asian guys that hand grind every Engle can?
Ancient Chinese secret, all right?
Ancient Chinese.
Every cam comes with a box of Calgon.
Nice.
Oh, no. So, okay. So, oh my God. I discovered all the things.
Is that right?
Is that good enough for an intro? No?
Oh, we could do 2 shows with you guys. This is going to be fabulous. So, now that we've gone over all the things you guys could have done, or maybe doing in an alternate dimension, who knows? Let's start from the beginning, man. Well, not the very beginning, because there's things I just don't ever want to imagine happening.
Same, for sure.
I couldn't imagine that talk. Okay, guys, sit down. Dad's going to tell you the story about the night you were conceived.
There was screaming involved.
A van stinking of leather.
With a hint of cotton candy.
Did grow up in a Chevy van.
Yeah, we did, actually.
Wait, okay. Roll with it.
Yeah, I think we got to hear this.
Well, Dad had a Chevy van. It was on true spokes. It had, the plywood seat in the back with the 6-inch foam in the back with no upholstery on it, of course, because that costs extra. Wood paneling, of course.
Shoddy primer job.
Yeah, real shoddy primer, like enough to where it was rusting through it. But yeah, I think we had that until I was probably 8, I think, because we had it at this house.
Yeah.
But
Fit right in at the Monster Jam though.
I think their first discovery that at least I was even mechanically inclined. I took one of Dad's snap-on screwdrivers and shoved it in the tailpipe, and they couldn't find it for the longest time until they fired up and it shot out of the thing. So, Dad wasn't happy about that one.
Neither was the person whose leg it stuck into.
Right, that's it.
Oh my God. So bring me up to speed. You guys always around cars? Was it like a family thing?
Growing up, our grandpa, he was always into cars. He was one of the original members of the Road Kings. He had a 4-banger rail that he raced in the late 50s. Obviously then my dad was obviously into cars. He grew up with a 64 Chevelle and built small block in it. So we were always kind of around the scene growing up, going to car shows, and my grandfather would restore Model A's at his house. So we were always around it.
Yeah, we always went to car shows, restoration, hot rod, drag strip, Bakersfield, Pomona, you name it. And he was obviously, grew up, as one of the original Road Kings along with Prudhomme and Ivo and, all the big guys basically. And the story goes that basically he was one of the original guys to actually start building chassis out of chromoly and start, machining magnesium because, his rail was just powered by a 4-banger. So he always, figured lighter would be faster. And sure enough, so it's
cool.
like in the late 50s, he would machine his own hubs, lace up his own wheels, all this crazy stuff. Again, it's not confirmed or anything, but this is what we were always told, that that he was one of the first ones to actually do so. So.
Holy cow! Cool. Well, yeah, like my grandfather made stuff really light because he had extremely weak forearms. So.
Right. And conversely, he had very strong forearms. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, if evolution has anything to say about it, my kid should be able to lift a small building with his.
Right. But yeah, that same dragster was actually, it was in, what year and month was it, Greg?
It was in 59. I believe it was March, but don't quote me on that. Issue of Hot Rod.
Yeah, it's a very iconic cover that was a Pontiac motor, I think, had like the twin rail injection. It was just the engine on the cover of it.
Yeah, it was the prototype fuel injection that some aerospace guy designed, and it just recently resurfaced and ended up in a Studebaker that somebody turned into a Woody.
Oh
man!
Yeah, the bullet nose Woody. That was actually at SEMA, but they had the engine on display at like the Hot Rod magazine.
The Homecoming.
Yeah, the Homecoming show.
wow!
But that same rail, since he was friends with Tommy Ivo, it was actually in the movie Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. Typical B movie. And it was on the movie card and everything, and so we like posting up that picture because it's like a cool picture of Grandpa's rail with Ivo's T bucket in the background with the Hilborn injected nail head in it.
Yeah. Do you know whatever happened to the car? Did you guys ever find out, the dragster?
I know it got basically he got rid of it when apparently Dad was old enough to be able to drive the thing because he did not want him even getting into the thing at all. So he sold it, in like the early '60s, I believe, just so that Dad couldn't drive the thing. But he continued building, helping build chassis for Phil Tadlock, and again another folklore story was that he had something to do with the first front engine dragster go over, unofficially over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, because Phil was getting drafted, and so
right.
the story was that he's like, I'm going to tip the can to this, and if I die in the rail, then I die in the rail. Either that or I'm going to Vietnam. So one or the other is going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a picture of, I don't know if it was actually I think that was from that actual run.
It was.
Front engine dragster, or was it from, I forget what year it was. I thought it was like 64-ish or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But
the thing just killing the tires, just like 45-degree angle going on the strip, and just on a run,
Yeah, it's very Winged Express looking.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome. I'll have to find that picture and actually post that. But yeah, like I said, he just knew all the guys basically. He was just like another one of those guys. And actually, if you go on like Road King's history bio, like he's still on the attendance roster, right there with Ivo and all the other guys. I think he was one of the original, like, couple, maybe 20 or something like that from the Road Kings.
Way cool.
Neat.
Yeah, so the last picture we have of his rail after it got sold off is it had a flathead in it, and that was the last picture. So, but that was the last thing we've seen of it. Don't know if it ever turned up. So we post pictures of it, and people are like, "Oh, it was a chassis research rail." I'm like, "No, it wasn't. It was all like we have pictures of him building it out back in the alley on like paint, propped up on paint cans and stuff like that."
Yeah, it's freaking cool. It's really cool. We have all the build pictures of it.
Every old picture of every old drag chassis is always a dragmaster, right?
Yeah,
that's what everybody thinks. On Facebook.
Right. Oh, totally. Always. Yeah, so it would be definitely really cool to be able to actually rebuild that dragster. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to it, so I don't think it'd be all that difficult. But yeah, definitely, it's a Model B motor with a Riley 4-port head. I mean, he made his own tri-power on the thing. I mean, it was just like all sorts of things that, were just kind of ahead of its time. And according to the article, the thing had like 14-1 or something like that. And it was just like, it was like, there's no freaking way. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, I mean, maybe that's what I mean, he was a cowboy back then, so did whatever it takes in order to make the thing go fast, so.
So all that sort of hot rod heritage in your family, how did that transfer to you guys? I mean, when you guys were old enough to build bicycles, were you guys customizing stuff and building models, doing tinkering, doing stuff like that?
I built models and stuff when we were younger, but the first things that we ever actually built was, because obviously growing up in the 90s, was the wagon craze. So everybody at every single swap meet had lowered wagons with go-kart tires on it and stuff like that. Right. So I built a little tiny radio flyer with a kind of off-road suspension looking. It was all lifted and custom paint, this and that, and Dave actually started before me with his. He had a scooter, right, Dave? That was your first thing.
Yeah, I did a scooter and widened the back end and put a wide go-kart tire on the back and real short handlebars to make it completely unrideable because even then I was still 6 foot, so make it super duper impractical, but got to start it young. But yeah, so it was stretched out. It was kind of triangular shaped, and then had the wide tire in the back, and then it had like a top fuel wing struts and had a wing on the back that we basically made that when we were camping up in the redwoods and bent the aluminum sheet metal over like a tree and then like freaking JB welded the thing all together. It looked pretty cool actually for what it was, but yeah, I remember specifically bending that sheet metal over a freaking pine tree. No, it was a redwood tree. That's right.
Yeah, redwood.
Yeah, pine tree's clearly too soft.
Right. Yeah. Obviously. Let's be realistic here.
Yeah. I wanted to
go for mahogany, but couldn't find one in NorCal. So
yeah.
But with your family history, you guys should have gone with balsa. I mean, everything lighter weight.
True.
Bamboo. Yeah.
It's not racist if you say it about yourself, right?
True.
Ooh,
See?
nice.
Yeah.
That's why I tell a lot of Polak jokes. I'm like gaining that karma, you know? How the hell did we go from go-karts to... Anyway,
Anyways.
Don't even question the path that we're taking, because it's just gonna be a fun look back on it. So.
The flow is going to be beautiful. I'm going to be editing. The hell I'm going to edit this. If you've listened to our show, you know there's no editing.
Just let her rip. But yeah,
who are we
basically,
kidding?
Coming back to what we were saying, that basically we grew up in going to car shows with our dad. And our dad, dad was a firefighter, but he was always passionate about cars as well. Not quite obviously the fabricators that we are, but we went to all the car shows and pretty much anything that we could just to get out and check out the hot rod scene, classic cars, whatever. So he helped us obviously build our wagons and scooters and that type of stuff, and we always just managed one way or another to craft pieces of art, basically, before we could even weld, really. I mean, Dad could oxyacetylene weld. But yeah, we just basically, would see something, we're like, yeah, let's build that. Yeah, sure, why not? So we always took on any type of project. So that's where we kind of got our, just take on anything type of attitude, because, obviously we didn't grow up just like with a ton of money to have, people build our stuff. So it's like, yeah, we could probably figure out how to do that one way or another. So like, we grew up having to build our first cars, basically. So we had to learn every single nut and bolt on them. And so Greg still has his 65 Chevelle wagon. I still have my 55 Oldsmobile.
Those are your first cars?
Those are those are our first cars.
How cool.
That's cool.
And there's some great cars there, man. And, on top of it, well, that Olds has a little bit of fame behind it, too.
Yeah. So I got that between my junior and senior year of high school. Started rebuilding the motor and whatever else needed to be, done to it. And, basically, I think it was like my second semester of high school, I was able to finally start driving the thing. No trim on it. It was still all flat back, but the engine was like absolutely just immaculate.
That's rad.
But I mean, we went to a private school, and I think no one even understood like what a classic car even was if you weren't driving like a BMW or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And then shortly after I graduated high school in '98, Steve Van Diemen, basically we became really good friends with him, and he's like, I want to flame this thing. I'm like, I can't. There's no way I can afford this. No way. It's just like, just let me do it, and you guys can do all the work to it. That's fine, whatever. And so flamed it. It just basically took on a whole life of its own. Took it to some shows. Before any interior was even in it, I kept replacing sheets and stuff on it just so I wouldn't have springs poking me in the butt. And then Hot Rod Magazine, Rob Fortier from Hot Rod Magazine saw it down at Dana Point show, and the rest is history, basically. They wanted on the cover of Hot Rod. They put on the cover of Custom Rodder. I mean, years later, probably I think 07 or 08 or something like that, it ended up on the cover of Hot Rod again because they just needed another cover car. So,
Well, it was also in Daytona. Don't forget that.
Oh, it was in Daytona Magazine in Japan. It was on the cover of Car Audio, shooting flames. Because it used to shoot 13-foot flames out the back, And another funny story is that it got shot for these covers, and obviously got a reasonable amount of acclaim, but it wasn't even done. It didn't even have an interior. This was before Custom Rodder, and this was probably circa 2000, I think. I think before Chip Foose actually got the overhauling show. And so, we used to go over there and just hang out with him, have lunch with him, just bench race. And, I bring my car around. I'm like, Chip, I have no idea what to do for interior on this thing, design-wise or whatever, but I don't want to put some sort of cheap interior in this thing. And, I want it to be something really cool. And so he's like, he looks at the dashboard. He's like, just come inside. So he goes in there and just like quickly sketches this thing out and just like, scribbles it all out and colors it all in, and it's just obviously amazing because Chip is the master. And he's like, oh, here you go. And I'm like, you're kidding, right? He's like, well, what do I owe you? He's like, well, just take it, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so that was like the first like steps of, seeing how Chip's true colors. I mean, Chip's like the most amazing, nice guy in the entire universe.
Yeah.
I mean, just
He's a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to hate him because he's just like so famous and so talented, across the board with, outside of just markers and pens, because he can literally do all the grunt work and just like whatever it takes to get the job done. And that is like so admirable as a fabricator.
Yep.
Just take on any job and just like, whatever it takes, don't let anything slow you down, just figure it out, Yeah. And so I think that's what truly is is cool. What makes him cool, along with many of other of our friends that are fabricators as well.
He's always so quick to give credit to everybody else too.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
Yeah,
he does not, he does not take the limelight all by himself.
No.
Sorry, you'll probably have to edit that. Sorry, I don't want to overpower.
No. I was going to edit that down. So what it sounds like you say is, I hate Chip Foose. He can't figure markers and pencils out.
Oh.
And we're gonna hype that one everywhere. It's gonna be on all our promos.
And there goes our career. What little bit of career we have.
Oh, we'll go down with you. It'll be great. Tonight, the Round 6 podcast further demolishes what little following they had.
Hey, everybody loves a villain.
No, you have to be completely sell your soul and have a TV show to become a villain that makes money.
Yeah, indeed.
No, we're back to the original idea from earlier before we went on. This takes us right back to you guys being the Hell's Engles. This is perfect.
Oh, my God.
Whatever.
Oh, shit, that's great.
Just jealous that you never came up with it. When I see your Instagram posts, with you guys with your matching jackets.
What?
Your
Matching
colors.
jacket?
Yeah, those gold silver.
Yeah, flat.
Yeah,
Flying our,
logo on the back. Is it?
Hey, Gold
Flying our
LeMay is
club
making
colors.
a comeback, okay?
That's one thing. Why didn't Von Dutch ever have a gold LeMay jacket? That would have been the perfect crossover for that brand.
Somebody else already claimed that.
Yeah, with a hat crest on the back. Yeah. we won't name any names or anything, but he always wore glasses and it was really creepy.
Yeah, you can't even buy that material at like Joann Fabrics. They're like, no, we can't get that due to trademark.
Yeah.
Thank God, doing the world a service.
It's like, where do you guys grow that satin? You don't really grow satin. It smells a lot like aqua velva in its natural state.
What do those worms look like?
Oh my God.
Do they have sequins on them? Are they real fancy?
They have really high blood pressure, so they're kind of veiny looking.
Oh God.
Well, we'll be editing that. That's good. Another mark on that. Way to go. Growing up, I mean, obviously, you guys had some really good family influences. Obviously, great teachers to get you guys into starting off to fabricate things. So, like, did you guys follow the usual path that seems prevalent in the hot rod world, where you guys got into BMX bikes and all that stuff, or did you guys like skip right over and just buy a mini truck or a VW? And
Oh God.
Oh man.
No, I mean, we kind of grew up with a little bit in the BMX scene. We were always kind of around it, but never really necessarily a part of it. Just being in Orange County, I mean, this just the whole Southern California area has a very large influence for motorsports and BMX and motocross and a little bit of everything. So we had a lot of different influences, and that's kind of was funny is like walking around a show, you like see these guys walking around in like shorts and sandals. You're like, who the hell are these guys? They're like, oh yeah, they're car fabricators. They're actual hot rod guys. Like, no way. Like
they don't have pompadours and jeans and cuffed jeans and yeah.
Well, that's how you recognize them today. And
yeah.
Well, I just can't. Yeah, I guess in my head I'm kind of figuring it'd be tough for you guys to be really into the BMX scene because it's tough to ride a 20-inch bike when you're 8.5 feet tall, right?
Yeah. The only guys out there with a 28-inch frame.
A really long stroke, though. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Whoa. Awkward.
Wind up with like nicknames like Octopus Guy and Kid Squid.
Yeah.
Tentacle Man.
That's one of those nicknames that comes back around in like your early to mid 20s, though. So speaking of which, if you don't want to say it, go ahead. But rather than ask you your exact age. Let's go this way. Okay, let's try to date you guys. Hey, not that way.
Oh, awkward. Sorry, dude. I don't swing that way.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Give him a minute.
We could maybe go to Starbucks. Hang
on, he's got a good pitch. Let's listen to him.
And thanks a lot for listening. That was the Round 6 podcast.
Some wide open place, maybe, someplace where.
There goes your hopes for a cheap date night at SEMA.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still going to happen. I know to bring a mason jar full of
roofie. Yeah.
Someplace that has a lot of exits. Hopefully.
One of my NyQuil slammers. It's going to be great. So,
excuse me, does this taste like rape?
Maybe. Should we edit that out now?
Oh, gee.
I love rape flavor.
Wow, that was our first joke of that nature. Nice job.
Okay.
There goes our clean lyric rating.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think though, if we had to, how do we put this, chronologically place you gentlemen, let's say if you were going to send somebody a nude in your mid-20s, would you have texted it or faxed it?
Faxed. I would have sent it via pager, actually. I would have pager coded it somehow.
Pager coded the dimensions.
Yeah.
8008S. Okay.
Oh my God! I think I was born the year was it ET came out? I think.
Wow.
I'm technically the very very first year of the millennials, so yeah.
Yeah, sucks to be you.
Yeah, but you don't come across as
that against you, so.
millennial.
I think the Mustang 2 just went out of fashion. Let's say the Lincoln Mark 5, I think was
Was a Lincoln
there?
Was the Bill Blass edition out yet?
Bill Blass.
Yes, actually.
Eddie Bauer.
Eddie Bauer born between Bill Blass and Eddie Bauer. Oh, okay.
No. It was the Diamond Jubilee. That's what edition it was.
Wow.
Yeah. How's that for a pull? Thank you, Lowrider Scene, for giving me that one.
Classy.
Nice.
Diamond Jubilee, Lincoln Mark, and it had a little jewel in the back quarter window. It said Diamond Jubilee edition. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Charged an extra $2,500 for the sticker.
Yep.
Did you have to push the big button that said premium sound?
Oh yeah, sure. Hey, my car currently has premium sound 11 in it. Okay, it says on the door panel. So
it goes to 11.
Yeah, of course. It has reverb and everything. It's amazing. A little sound bar underneath.
Pyramid EQ dancing away down there. That's awesome.
It's like a light show.
Sparkomatic FM converter.
Yep, that's right.
Is that a Jensen 6x9s up on the package tray? Dude.
Yeah.
Hey, I got 6x9s up front. I actually put them up there. So
On purpose?
On purpose. Oh yeah. I got that full concert sound now, man.
So I always wondered when you'd see that in a car, you'd see like with concert sound, you're like, oh, so it's going to have some woman who's stoned out of her gourd screaming in my left ear.
And this is playing the violin in the back seat.
Car's gonna smell like vomit and pee. All right, on.
Get a contact high every time you turn on the AC.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I live in Colorado, so that happens anyways.
Yeah, I bet.
Jeez.
How in the world did you end up in Colorado?
My wife and I had actually been looking out here anyways, just as kind of a change of pace from California and the concrete jungle. So it just happened to come up that my wife's job, where they were opening a new office out here. So that's how I ended up transferring out here as well.
Nice.
What area of Colorado are you in?
I'm just south of Denver in a town called Castle Rock.
Okay, I know where Castle Rock is. Yeah.
Okay.
They used to have a racetrack in Castle Rock back in the day.
Yep.
I was stationed out there in the Air Force years ago.
Continental Divide Raceway. I was in my town.
Raceway. Yep.
You could still see it cut into the hills. It's all torn up, but you could see the contours of where they flattened it out for the track.
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a neat place.
Yeah, they had a quarter-mile drag strip. They have a road race circuit that went through there. I think they ran motorcycles, road race. They had everything.
Oh, how neat.
Yeah. But I think that went out in 1980 or 81, something like that. It closed.
It was still open when I was there. I was there in '81, and it was still open then. It may have been right towards the end though.
Right.
It was starting to probably, it was showing signs of neglect. There was like a tree growing out of the left lane.
It became the chicane. Yeah, the chicane down the backstretch is a tree.
Well, that's like the shutdown lane in Irwindale. You got to kind of jog over to the left.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sketchy.
Yeah.
So now you're out there in Colorado, and just for our listeners' sake, I mean, we know what you do because we have the camera and everything like that, but
yeah,
whatever, drones. So if you want to share what you're doing out there, if not, just say, dude, I just sit around all day long and I watch a lot of talk shows and.
Yeah, I'm catching up on a lot of Maury Povich right now.
I know he listens to Round 6 podcast day in and day out.
Oh, no, I
sad.
don't. No, I really don't.
Don't throw him under the bus like that.
I'm just saying, we're trying to get you sponsors here, okay?
He doesn't listen to it. He reads the Round 6 podcast.
Oh, God.
I waited for the book. It was much better than the podcast.
Yeah, the transcription is great. I don't actually have to listen to you guys. Aww.
Hey, we found our transcriptionist over on Fiverr, and I got to tell you, she's nice. I mean, she's 9 years old. She writes it between stitching sneakers.
Writes at a 13-year-old level, though.
Oh my gosh. So I'm actually out here now. I'm working down in Colorado Springs out of Joe Barry's shop. I don't know if you guys know Joe Barry or not, but he has the twin turbo big block 56 Chevy that's orange and cream. He does drag week and stuff like that. So it's a 7-second street car.
6 seconds, come on. High 6 seconds.
High 6 second, okay.
Yeah. High 6 seconds.
And the hardest part about drag week is trying to work a clutch with those heels on, isn't it? Isn't that what they say?
Wrong drag race.
Oh,
you should have seen Greg work a clutch, girlfriend. Wrong type of clutch? No, not the first type. No.
You have to lip sync a song as you drive down the strip. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my gosh!
And that pretty much concludes all that I know about drag. So.
I thought you were gonna go for like a Tu Wong Fu reference.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Like I pulled that one out, huh?
How great would that be? Maybe we just need to do that. Does the car run like 622s or anything? So you could have 622 Wong Fu written on the window. See if anybody catches it.
God.
Wow. Real reach there.
That's all I had. Yeah, I'm just gonna shut up now and hang out.
Our wheels are coming off, guys. Wheels are coming off.
But yeah, so he
played in Indiana Jones. Was that?
Wow.
Whoa.
That's racist.
And then it took a dark turn.
You sound like Fortune Cookie.
Yeah, no time for love, Dr. Jones.
Holy shit.
Oh, let's not get off on
an Asian joke? Was that an Asian crack?
No.
I think that's the wrong tribe anyway, so.
Right, definitely wrong tribe for sure.
Now you're just making fun of Spielberg movies. This is horrible.
Of course. We're off track again.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not sure what track that is, but
I only make fun of that last Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, the one where he blows up in the fridge?
The aliens?
No, yeah, exactly. The aliens and the crystal skull.
It's got a little bit of everything for everyone, man. It's like, do you like revisionist history? Yes. Okay. Do you like adventures? Yeah. Okay. Do you like lead-lined refrigerators? Fuck yeah. Oh, dude, you're gonna love this shit.
Do you like that because
skulls.
aliens guy?
Oh, it's got crystal skulls. Oh,
this is much different than Rob's interview. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we don't have any fun facts about Tuckers. I'm sorry.
No, we do. We know someone that owns 4 of them. I mean.
Oh, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So continue our theme. Tell us about the no.
But yeah, so I'm working out down there with Joe Barry. He manages to actually keep his car together because it's I think it's like a 4,000 horsepower capable car, but it's detuned to like 3,200.
It's detuned.
Yeah, because you want to be conservative.
Well, it's got to be streetable, right?
Do you know what's stupid is that car actually gets better gas mileage on the freeway than my truck does. My freaking 201 Silverado, it gets better gas mileage than that thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Unreal.
Has he got like a gear vendor in it or something?
Yeah, he's got a gear vendor in it. But he's like, yeah, if I keep my foot out of it, it's not making any boost. It's basically just a low compression big block. I'm like, oh.
What is it? It's 596, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
No, it's crazy. It's like before I even knew anything about the car, I just always assumed that, you see it, street outlaws and they, swap out the tunes like, it's like they're changing underwear. But I'm like, so do you just change out the tune when you're just driving around town? He's like, no, I don't change any of that. I just keep my foot out of it. I'm like, so you're driving around with 3,200 horsepower on tap? Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, oh, what?
Be right back.
Yeah.
Run. Gotta go grab some groceries.
Yeah, exactly.
Every drag week I always pull for that car because it seems like the ones that win are these single purpose, not really street cars with body panels that come on and off and they swap them at the tracks. And it kind of got to the point where the whole thing kind of went over the edge. And I always pull for Joe's car because it's still that kind of car. It's still a street type car.
Yeah, it's a steel car with glass in it,
Right.
Yeah, I struggle with that whole, what are you driving? Oh, I've got a carbon fiber 7/8 scale.
Right.
Big, long, extended nose, and it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, but then again, it's racing, so it's like you always have to push the limits of the rules no matter what. So it's like if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So
right.
You can't knock them for it.
Sure.
Yeah, but it needs to get back more, I think, to its roots, to cars like that and Larson's Nova and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yep.
I mean, even Larson's S10, it's like that basically pushes everything to the limits. I mean, yeah, he does swap out some stuff, but it's like that's as far as the line should be to me, It's like that little S10.
Like a couple years ago, with Bailey's Camaro, that was over the edge. It's like, come on, guys, man.
Well, Bailey's car started off as Denny Terzich's car.
Right.
And it was funny, like, my weird connection with Drag Week was the 6 Seconds car. And it was design that thing. And of all the dumb ways to come up with a name, I was falling asleep one night, and I'm like, this would be funny, dude. 6 Seconds. And I'm like, next thing I know, well, it's what we're going to submit to Hot Rod. And I'm like, great.
Oh,
so we have you to blame for that.
I thought this interview was about us. What the hell?
Well, on the plus side, we'll always refer to Brian from now on as 6 Seconds.
Right.
3 more than you need, baby.
That's including cuddling. That's including cuddling time.
I'm an emotional stalwart when it comes to that. I'm like, there you go.
So at Joe's shop, do you just do fab work there, or do you have your own little area in the back where you do your own thing?
I do a little bit of everything, a little bit of both, I should say. He basically let me come in there and set up shop because he finds it pretty hard to find somebody that actually does good fab work that's reliable and so on and so forth. So he would farm out a lot of work on his car out of state. So he
couldn't find anybody good, so he'd let Greg come in there.
Yeah, so he found it beneficial to have me there to be able to work on his stuff, to be able to add another fabrication shop to the mix of Colorado. And also he has a regular day job, so I could help him out when fabrication arises for his regular day job as well. So it just worked out well for everybody involved. But I'm pretty much fully set up now. I picked up all my machinery and stuff since I moved out here, and pretty much good to go to do some pretty good damage out here.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, were you always interested in? I mean, granted, you didn't just go there to work on a drag car, but have drag cars always been an interest of yours, or is it something that you just kind of grew to appreciate over time? In other words, I guess my big question here is, if you were going to build your dream car, what would it be? What would its main purpose be in life?
Honestly, if I had to build my dream car, it probably would not be a drag car. It would just be a street car, probably coilover, turbo car, something like that. Not LS, just because I find LSs to be kind of soulless motors. I mean, they're freaking awesome. There's absolutely no denying the power to price ratio and so on and so forth.
Half of your listeners, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but they don't.
Our followers. Like, did he just say that? It's like, did he just kick a puppy?
Yeah, did I just say I don't like LSs? What do you mean?
No, this is what I like, though. See, we like it when you're honest about this. I mean, I'm not a huge LS fan. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate them. I love what they do.
Right, exactly. It's like I completely appreciate everything about them and what they can do. And I built a 383 for my wagon, nothing really super crazy, but it's like for the amount of money that I put into that thing, for the horsepower that I got out of it, I could have easily built a 500-600 horsepower LS all day long. But instead, I ended up with a 400 horsepower 383 with 450 foot-pounds.
Same here. I'm building a 671 blown rocket 324 motor for my Oldsmobile.
It's gonna make 7 or 8 horsepower, right?
Right, basically. So it's gonna be 10 grand worth of motor, and I'm looking at all these LS motors where they have the 671 blowers on them, make them look like Oldsmobile motors, paint them solid green. I'm like, I probably could have built 2 of these things for the amount of money I'm going to have in this thing, and way more reliability. But I'm like, you know what? It won't have the cool factor.
Right.
It never will.
Well, it's like a flathead. I mean, I'm about $7,000 into this stupid flathead that doesn't run worth a shit. But you know what? Nothing sounds like it.
Right.
It's 150 horsepower when it runs good.
Yeah. got a strong tailwind. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's something to be said. Like even on our. That's what we've always kind of prided ourselves in, as far as our motto, I guess, in fabrication and in the whole car world. One of our good, nice, amazing mentors told us basically that he's like, you guys build stuff with soul. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you guys instill soul into your projects and in your fabrication, and that's what guides you. And kind of like looking at each other like, yeah, I guess we kind of do, because we do want to do stuff that is timeless and has a soul and evokes a feeling of sorts, and not just do things that are flash in the pan, that are cool for the moment, but 10 years later, are you going to be tired of it? You guys had Scott Sullivan on earlier, and so many of his vehicles, all his vehicles, really, you look at it and you're like, no, it's not $1 million car, and it doesn't have every single part carved out of a solid chunk of billet aluminum on a CNC, but at the same time, it was built with soul in mind, with detail, just to make something that's just badass, and that's what I feel like, we try to do, is just build badass stuff, and that's what we, like I said, there's something to be said about it. It's like, it sounds weird when you say it out loud and on the replay.
But when you nail it, it's timeless.
Right, totally.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you want to see stuff that 10 years, 20 years down the road, you're like, yeah, that's still cool. No, it doesn't have the most modern stuff on it. But it's like, at the end of the day, you still want to drive an old car. You don't want to drive an AMG SL 6000 or whatever, It's like you want to drive a freaking piece of crap 65 Chevelle station wagon, It's just like, that's just what you want to, it's like, that's what you want to drive,
Wait, where's my car to be? Where's my car?
I was like, that was a shot and a half, man.
Sorry. Shots fired.
Man down.
Hey, at least mine runs.
True.
Well, his shoots 18-foot flames out of the back.
Yeah, it is sitting next to my car that's on jack stands right now, and they're both doing about the same thing. So,
but they've got.
But no, like I think I was even talking to Alan Budnick one time, and I figured that he'd be the first one to say, "Oh yeah, everything needs to be techie." But he actually said, to me, he's like, "Yeah, if people want to build old cars, build a freaking old car." I'm like, Alan Budnick said this, really? I was like, I would have told that he would be like on the leading edge of technology and want to have all this really cool stuff, but. Again, you look at, all of Rob Ida's stuff, and it just is so timeless. A lot of stuff is so far, is very advanced, but it's done in a timeless manner as well. So it's like there's a time and place for using all these methods and materials, basically. But it's just how you go about it, I feel, is, kind of I wouldn't say a dying art, but at the same time, a lot of people just kind of, want to do these $1 million builds basically just for the sake of doing a $1 million build, But
right.
How many of those $1 million builds, go across Barrett Jackson's auction block for 250 grand,
Oh, yeah, if you're lucky.
If you're real lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing. I mean, you cannot take anything away from any of the craftsmanship in these like real crazy high-end builds. But you see stuff like that, and then you see like Cheese Whiz, and we're like, well, Cheese Whiz is still really dated, but at the same time, it's really just freaking cool, And
right.
It's like there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just freaking cool. So to me, that's just more pinnacle than having every single piece carved out of billet aluminum,
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure.
In that same vein, since we've done a lot of stuff with Lowrider Magazine, a lot of different lowrider guys, and I feel like a lot of the newer, I mean, this is my own personal opinion. This is David speaking, by the way. That a lot of the interiors nowadays, to me, it's like if you're going to build a lowrider, why not actually like have stuff that's reminiscent of like OG lowrider stuff? It doesn't have, you don't need to have a street rod on hydraulics. Have you can mix like some crushed velvet in with leather. Do it tastefully. But just enough to kind of evoke that kind of, to call back to the 90s style, to the 80s style of crushed velvet, button tufted, type of interiors. I just feel like that'd be just such a neat, like, again, kind of a timeless throwback. It's like I don't want to see, cream and tan and taupe, leather interior in my lowrider. Just like make it. Give it some sort of soul to it, it doesn't have to be like a pro touring car with a candy paint job on it,
Right.
Yes, it does today.
Some stuff just doesn't mix, and you can mix certain things with certain elements and really update it with giving a nod to the past. So,
but it feels that way today. It sure feels like everything has to be pro touringized, I mean, I'm waiting for Forge Line to come out with a set of 100 spokes.
Oh, totally.
And knockoffs.
Oh gosh.
What do you got? 3-piece carbon fiber, 100 spokes.
Now you're talking my language. Yeah.
I'd say okay. Let's put that out there. SEMA 2019, Engle Brothers / Round 6. We're gonna do the ultimate pro touring Bellflower lowrider car.
I'm totally down, but you got to wait until like a week before SEMA before we actually start on it.
Well, we're not even going to buy the car until the Tuesday before.
Okay, good. So, just so we can hashtag SEMA, was it friggin' SEMA Thrash?
SEMA Thrash. But every picture we take is going to be us with food. Like,
not actually working on it.
That's how it's going to go. And you're like, well, of course you're not getting your car done because you guys ate out 722 times.
Yeah, Instagram 20 pictures with you and your monster.
I always laugh at that. We almost didn't make the show. Yeah, because your feed has 8,726 pictures in it, and you just started it 30 days ago.
Pro staff or Monster Energy drink.
Oh, that angers me to no end, and it's like, yeah, oh, great, another flat build hat. Awesome, good job. Oh, your beard's getting better. We should grow a SEMA beard this year.
Well, I'm not bringing a square body, so.
Oh, we can't do it then. Oh, and I don't have enough black socks.
Every time SEMA comes around, the town like runs out of tall cans of beer, right? Budweiser.
Yeah.
they like have to ship them in especially for that.
But we still run around. I mean, honestly, we still run around with every single group. We're friends with guys that are import guys. We're friends with guys that are mini truck guys, lowrider guys, hot rods, drag racers.
Oh yeah, because at the end of the day, most car people are really cool.
Right, exactly. You always have that common bond of no matter what it is, it's still a car, and you can still look at it, and if you're a real car guy, you will still appreciate the work that went into somebody's '95 Civic. Yeah. If they did it right and they actually put a lot of effort into it, then there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with it.
Yeah, you look at all the stuff in Japan. I mean, all the stuff they do with what we call imports, obviously, is just utterly mind-blowing. The craftsmanship of some of those vehicles. I mean, obviously some of them are like way out in left field, like the Bozozoku style. I get it, but a lot of the stuff, like their show cars, are like just breathtaking. The detail that they put into these, 2JZ motors and with 5 turbos on them and stuff. It's just like it's absolutely just mind-blowing the amount of attention to detail, and it's nice seeing stuff like that because, like, yeah, you sift through some of the stuff that's, real gaudy or whatever, just like over here. But then you'll see that one where you're just like, and it just like light bulb goes on, and like I would have never thought to do that way. And unfortunately, I can't remember what the artist's name is, but he's the one that basically will engrave a whole car and then like include the candy paint in it, and he'll engrave through it, and also he'll lay out all his tape patterns and basically in like filler primer, and so and then clear the heck out of it, and so everything looks like you can like reach out and touch it, and he always has something there, and at SEMA, and it is just like absolutely just mind blowing. Some of these like GTRs that he's done, and I think he did a couple of GTRs last year to where it's fully 3-dimensional. I mean, I can't imagine it has like an inch thick of clear on the thing to bury it, but like stuff like that is the stuff that inspires you as an artist or as a fabricator. Being able to not be so jaded to say, oh, I would never look at an import. It's like, well, there's you can learn from all sorts of different car people as long as you get past the junk. So
right, it's like everybody wants to kind of knock mini truckers and this and that, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you actually looked hard at mini truckers, like there's a lot of innovation going on and thinking outside the box and being able to do stuff with not a whole lot of resources. So, I mean, if you're not willing to open your eyes and look at that, then that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, we're friends with a lot of people that are quote unquote mini truckers. I mean, like Bob Grant, I always come back to him because he's like he's a good friend of ours. And he is like the absolute master when it comes to customizing trucks. And you can try and pigeonhole him as a mini trucker, but at the end of the day, everything that he does with a MIG, I'd put it on par with anybody, any craftsman that does stuff with a TIG, any coach builder or whatever. So, and there's something to be said about the quote unquote mini trucker mentality of just getting it done, no matter what it takes, not being stumbled by like, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do this. I don't have a CNC, whatever. It's like, they just get stuff done. Sometimes they miss the mark, maybe if they don't have the
we all do.
Exactly. Everybody does. But you know what? That mentality of just go get it and just do it and figure it out one way or another is like, kind of what I personally look at. I'm like, wow, that's, you can do anything, just a matter of how much time it'll take you and how much effort you really want to put into it. But I mean, the designs and like the end product of all of Bob's builds are just like, it's utterly breathtaking, So all these guys that say TIG only this and TIG only that, it's like, I'm sorry, I've never been that type. I believe I'm a strong believer that there's a tool and application for every single situation.
Totally agree.
And there's 100 different ways to skin a cat. It's like and people who say that you can't metal finish or hammer out a MIG weld just means that they're not hitting it hard enough.
Right.
So.
Nicely played. And what's great too is like mini trucks for a lot of these guys. Well, hell, for a lot of us, period. That was kind of one of the gateways into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it was for me. My dad was always a hot rodder, and I couldn't afford a hot rod. I could afford a small pickup truck that I could, blow apart on, Thursday night and have it back together to go to school Friday morning. That's all I could afford.
It's just you, a couple gallons of raspberry paint, and you were good to go, man.
And mine was peach and mint green, dude. Mint green with peach scallops.
Of course it was.
That's so sad.
Oh, yeah.
You were single for a long time, weren't you?
Oh, no. No, the chicks dug that truck.
Maybe the girls you go out with.
Yeah. Well, of course, you guys were, still crawling around diapers back then, so you
Wow, he's just firing shots. Well, speaking of crawling around, let's take this a couple different ways. You guys made quite a splash for yourselves with some pretty bitchin' little strollers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'll throw that one to Dave. I'll let him handle that one.
Yeah, that one was a real fluke thing, to be totally honest. Our older sister actually had our first nephew, actually. And so, of course, like any hot rod builder wants to do, they want to spoil the heck out of their nephews and so I'm like, well, of course, natural progression from building, wagons and scooters and stuff like that. I had, in high school, I built my radio flyer wagon to, basically look just like Pure Hell, the fuel altered. And so I still have that, actually. And so I'm like, well, of course we got to build something really cool and make it even better. Most likely super impractical, and so I'm like, well, I want to build this 55 Chevy, and make it a gasser, make it real cartoony looking. And, I don't even know how long it was still, like when I even started it and when I even finished it. But I wanted it to be a surprise for our sister and brother-in-law. And so, during the course of this build, obviously, just like any other fabricator, you start working on your own stuff and kind of goes, gets pushed to the back burner. And so, and then, right before SEMA, maybe like, I don't know, a month and a half or so before SEMA, I don't even know how many years ago now, 3 years ago, Danny D, our good friend, our painter buddy, he's like, hey, what do you think about getting the stroller done so we can have it in the PPG booth at SEMA? I'm like, okay, you mean like this year?
Hashtag SEMA Thrash.
Hashtag SEMA Thrash.
3 weeks to go.
Stroller thrash.
Me and my monster.
Yeah, and I mean, I started just mocking the thing up when we were working over at 5-axis, just in our downtime. And so after that, I just basically like, well, I guess, let's make it happen then, if you're down, then I'm down, then, so, Greg and I basically just, got to keep working on this thing and building it and literally thrashed on it just right up until like, the night before, SEMA. And I mean,
wow.
Practically assembling it there at SEMA, typical type of a deal. And like, I didn't even have time to even show our sister and brother-in-law and our nephew because he had already been born at that point. I think he was a couple months old. But literally pulled it out of the car. Of course, we transported it in the back seat. I mean, how many SEMA builds can say that they're transporting the back seat of a?
You've probably ran better than most SEMA builds do.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I literally pulled it out of the car, set it up, and I'm like, well, I know this thing's gonna go crazy. There's gonna be pictures on it, and it says Little Howard Hustler on the side, and it says Engle Brothers Fabrication. So I'm like, it's gonna be a dead giveaway, So, I called up our sister Kim and FaceTime with her and her brother-in-law Greg, and I'm like, well, here you go, surprise. I mean, unfortunately, it's not at home, but here you go. This is for our nephew Ewan, and of course they were super stoked on it. And so immediately I posted the picture of it, and the thing just went bananas. I mean, it took on a life of its own, just went viral. I mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. And
I remember it.
Yeah, little blue freaking 55, Chevy stroller, hung up on the wall in the PPG booth. And man, that thing just literally took on a life of its own. Like, you couldn't have even imagined that it would even do something like that. So, And then on that Friday, like probably about midday, I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to walk around with this thing, And because I'm just kind of slowing down a little bit. I'm like, let's walk out of there. And Greg had his little GoPro camera, so pulled it down off the wall, and set up the GoPro on the roll bar. And we didn't have a bar clamp for the thing. We just used some athletic tape that I had, wrapped it on the bar, and just so we could do like a time lapse of us pushing this thing through the crowd at SEMA. And I mean, we might as well have been the Pied Piper pushing, this thing through there. It was utterly ridiculous. At any given point, there's like a dozen people, following us, videoing this silly thing. I'm like, it's just a kiddie stroller with a candy paint job. I mean, it's neat, obviously, but I mean, it was like unbelievable. And I mean, everybody just like, this is the absolute coolest thing here at SEMA. I'm like, so you're comparing it to like multi-million-dollar cars? Like, yes, by far, this is the absolute coolest thing here at SEMA. I'm like, okay, well, we're definitely honored, thank you, And so, we took it over to the GoPro booth, and we're like, maybe they'll toss us a bar clamp or something like that. And maybe they'll like it, whatever. And so they saw it, and the marketing people are like, we need to have this in our booth next year. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, oh, it's a little stroller. Your booth is like probably 150 grand, a footprint right here. And you want to have this in your booth next year next to, Rampage from the Roadster Shop. Yeah, I mean, the Colorado that the Roadster Shop did also. I mean, it was just like, okay, sure, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that was kind of the beginning of it, and then after that, we had a couple of customers that wanted them built, and so we built the Chevy van that was all made out of sheet metal. Again,
Yep.
Bob Grant built the bulk of the body, and then we basically finished it all off, and I still have that one over here actually, and then obviously I had to build one for Danny D also for his granddaughter, and then this last year we built a red one for Tony Kane from Hughes Performance, and because he wanted to be, for his grandson and be able for them to display it, with all their booth spaces whenever they go to car shows and whatnot. So, like I said, we just automatically became known as the stroller guys. I'm like, well, we build cars and stuff too, right? You're like, oh no, but you're the stroller builders. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
It's like that horrible nickname you got in high school that you just can't lose, right?
Oh, totally, absolutely, like 100%. Like we have built like a full size gasser too, and we built the Eldorado, the Cadillac Eldorado for Joe Ray from Head of Lowrider magazine. It's like we built a lot of really cool like full size like adult stuff, and not adult, like Brian talked about adult stuff. Yeah, but like I said, it's just one of those things that it captivates people, and I mean, it just grabs them because obviously it's more than just a vehicle. It's it's a piece of art really, and everybody wants one for their kids. But at the end of the day, they really are so detailed that you might as well just build an actual real car, because there's so many moving parts to the silly thing, because they got cross steering, and they have 12 degrees of camber in them, because you got the wheels flop over, of course, being that it's drag stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, everybody seems to know us as the stroller builders. Between that and then the VA go-kart that Greg built.
Yeah, the VA go-kart basically came to us from a friend of ours who always had the strangest collection of oddball stuff. He had a gas-powered pogo stick. He had pocket carts, the little tiny go-karts. He had the Conley V8, the little miniature scaled-down V8s. So he had those. He had a hydroplane with one of those motors in it, the little RC hydroplane, and he always had the oddball stuff. So he came to us with this idea of building this V8 go-kart, and we're like, yeah, sure, of course, why not? Why wouldn't we want to make this work? Well,
yeah, I had started with the whole conversation because I'm like, I really I still to this day want to build a go-kart for myself, which hopefully Brian will assist in. But I was talking to this guy, basically saying I want to build something, but I want to think of like some sort of a cool motor. and so we're like, well, why don't we just put a small block V8 in it? So, and that rolled into striking the deal and this, that, and the other. So.
Yeah, and then we ended up with a go-kart with a 350 in it and cross ram with Webers and, like any sane person should have.
Of course.
Yeah, everybody kept saying like, oh, you should stretch it out and you should, you don't really fit very well in it. It doesn't look very safe and your head's right next to the exhaust and the intake. I'm like, yeah, it looks scary. That's why it's cool.
Yeah, everybody talks about
build your own.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, what about these go-karts with like the Hayabusa motors in them and they're stretched out? I'm like, oh, well, they're kind of, I'm sure it'd be fun as heck to drive, but I'm like, that's not scary looking. You need something that's just like tiny wheelbase, just like all freaking motor and a little bit of humanoid in the front,
Yeah, some idiot that's dumb enough to try and pilot it.
Right. And like, it basically would have to be direct drive, killing the tires for the thing to even turn because it's a live axle with 300 pounds sitting on the back of it. And mind you, if it hit a pebble, it's going to bend that axle right in two, So it's like there's a lot of things that are not, really helping it out. On top of the fact that the brakes are there just for, as a placebo. And you basically want probably just a giant kill switch to make the thing stop because there's no way those brakes are making that thing stop.
What about a parachute?
Maybe a parachute, maybe. Maybe an ejector seat or something like that. Parachute on the person, maybe, to get you away from it.
Yeah, there's clearly no room for a parachute on the go-kart, so.
Right, no. Yeah, so it became a meme, basically, and it's just like, all right, I guess it's a rite of passage when, you become a meme and it goes viral and, your name's technically not really even attached to it. I'm like, all right, well, I guess we made it then.
You went all Polish viral on that one. It's like, that's our picture. It's like, where's your name? I don't know. It's like the story of my life. So, okay, weirdest segue I'm going to try to... Well, not the weirdest segue I'm going to make because I've got a weird one.
We had those earlier.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
Yeah, we've had a number of them.
But, okay, obviously to build cool stuff, you got to have tools. And, man, Greg, you load Instagram with some of the coolest old freaking tool finds. Mm-hmm. How the hell are you finding these things?
I'm just getting pretty lucky with it, actually. It's just kind of a byproduct of where I'm at here in Colorado. First it started off as a necessity, since I broke off from Dave here in California, I moved out here and I needed my own equipment and stuff like that. So I started just searching out all these sales and Craigslist and garage sales, estate sales, stuff like that. And I just keep coming across all this stuff. And me being me, I come across something, I'll pick it up. I'll just research the living hell out of it and start finding out about all the different equipment that I've been finding and what else is cool out there, and kind of starting to look for that. So it's just kind of this really terrible monster that's evolved, and now I just can't help myself. Like every weekend I'm scouring my phone trying to find where's the sale and looking in corners of pictures of sale, like, oh, what do they got over here on this workbench? And it's pretty terrible. It's a sickness now because it's just so readily available.
But you never find like the weird thing. It's like, well, I just found this vintage tool from, Harbor Freight from 1986. You never seem to find that.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of that out here, but I just happen to luck out and find cool stuff like giant 9-foot radial arm drill presses from the 1920s and things like that.
You should preface that with giant for anyone else. For you, that's like, I found this small 12-foot.
This mediocre sized drill press.
This hand tool for us.
Yeah, I mean that was a unique find to be able to find that estate sale. It turned out that was a machinist fabricator guy that used to work for Coors out here. And he had the most amazing shop you've ever seen in your life. I mean, his big passion, I guess, was was rebuilding vintage motorcycles, 20s, 30s motorcycles, and he was casting his own pistons. I mean, he had full-blown giant machine shop. He had a press that was it was all homemade, hydraulic press, and it was probably 12 feet tall. Like I said, this radial arm drill, the thing probably had to weigh every bit of 5,000 pounds. I mean, he had all sorts of stuff, and this was all at his shop at home, and he had 440 electrical plumbed in there. So it was, yeah. I mean, the stuff that you find out here is just unbelievable, and a lot of it finds me just on accident. Like we were once again at another estate sale looking for furniture. They weren't even advertising this piece of equipment, but my wife hits me up because we split off. I go for the garage. She's in the house. She ends up down in the basement. She's like, "Hey, are you looking for a drill press?" I'm like, "Well, not really. I just bought one out here." But so I went down there. It turned out to be early 1950s Craftsman drill press. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but those things are gorgeous. I mean, they've got chrome. They've got like brush stripes on it. All the motors held together with chrome like acorn nuts, and I mean, they're just amazing. And this thing probably has been sitting down in this guy's basement since it was brand new. And the thing is completely immaculate. Not one speck of rust on any of the chrome or anything like that. I mean, the thing was amazing condition. So, and I ended up picking it up for like $120.
Dude.
So, needless to say, and then of course I find all this stuff and I have a hard time letting go. So right now I actually have 2 drill presses, of which I only need 1.
And don't want to get rid of either.
No, I don't. I really don't.
What you need to do is talk the wife into putting one on display in like the living room. Could you make a table out of it?
Yeah, I'm sure that I could add a lampshade or something to it.
Can you make a mixer out of it? No?
Ooh.
Maybe you display on the kitchen. Nobody'd ever see it.
Actually, you guys should see Greg's mixer. That's.
Oh yeah, it's probably the world's most expensive KitchenAid mixer.
Oh, no.
Danny D did an amazing paint job on that thing. He probably has I think he said he had about 40 hours worth of candy lowrider paint job on this KitchenAid mixer.
Wow.
It's a $2,000 paint job on a $400 KitchenAid.
Yeah.
If you can justify bringing home an old tool or something like that, I mean, it's hard to justify bringing home that box full of like Barry Manilow 8-tracks. Well, I mean, it would depend on who you're with, I guess.
You sound like you're speaking from experience here.
Yeah.
Of course.
Speaking for a friend, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I asked for a friend who...
Goes really well with your velvet paintings.
His velvet paintings, yes. So, okay.
That could kind of like almost segue just him finding tools like that into... I always want to like encourage people who are like getting into fabricating, just to like don't get discouraged trying to find the newest, latest, most expensive tools. Like go out and find like these old antiquated tools, which are obviously far superior because they've lasted this long, even Craftsman stuff or whatever. And so just go out and just get start piling up these tools basically, so you can actually, if you want to actually legitimately get into fabricating, just do it. Go out and just start doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, when we started fabricating, we really, I mean, up until these last couple of years, we really did not have any sort of equipment. And we didn't have a stomp shear until maybe 2-3 years ago. Yeah. Everything was hand cut, electric shears, whatever. And we didn't have slip rollers and English wheels and all that stuff. Like, you just kind of will find a way. And yeah, it may take you a little bit longer, but at the same time, it's on the flip side of that, you got all these guys that have all the coolest, latest equipment. They've got they have the big giant power hammers and all this stuff, but they don't really always know how to use it. So it's like, well, I mean, who's right? Who's wrong? So, but you can do a lot with very little. I mean, look at like the old metal shapers from back in the day. They had a hammer and a tree stump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could do a lot with very little. Like, it may not necessarily be the fastest way around, but you could do just about anything if you set your mind to it.
For sure.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, if you want to be a metal shaper, here you go. Here's a little, piece of, strip of sheet metal. Bend it. There you go. You're a metal shaper. It's just a matter of like knowing how to accomplish what you want to accomplish. But it's the vision that is like that's the training basically, is having the vision of knowing what you want to accomplish, and then just asking all the right people. I mean, we talked about Rob Ida. I mean, he's become such a good friend of ours and an amazing mentor. It's like we looked up to him, like when we were kids. I mean, when his Orange Willys was on the cover of Street Rodder. I mean, he still has that thing. Chop top Mercedes headlights. Original ZR1 motor. I mean, that thing was like so far ahead of its time. And I just drooled over that thing when I first saw it in the magazine. I reverse, mounted wheels, so where all the lugs were on the backside of it.
Yep.
I mean, just epic stuff. And now he's like one of our best friends, in the fabricating world. And like all you do is basically just ask intelligent questions of all these guys and become good friends with them. And that's what makes this whole hobby, obsession, profession, such a cool deal. Is like getting to meet guys like that and guys like you and just like people who inspire you and will help you get to your goal. Not even your goal really, just helps you grow and inspires you, artistically and skill wise. Basically, you just pick up something from everybody, and I mean, we've got a story, just seem like with the most random people, one way or another.
What's that?
What is that?
Sounds like someone snoring.
To fall asleep?
So we got a dog or something with him?
My dog's up here. He's a pug. He's out.
I was like, what the frick?
Not for account. No.
I'm like, oh, sorry, I got boring for a second there.
I actually had my mic on mute for a short period because he was freaking going to town, man. I had to kind of push him to roll him over a little bit.
I'm sitting here going, wait a second. Brad's not here.
No.
Yeah, how about that? Where is Brad?
Yeah.
He's been having Wi-Fi problems all week. And
is that what he calls it?
Well, yeah.
Did someone not show him how to hotspot, or? No?
I don't know.
Is old timers kicking in?
Yeah, old timers.
He's trying to figure out how to hook up the video camera to the rotary phone or something.
He doesn't have CompuServe on his flip phone.
Trying to plug his beads into his
CompuServe.
AOL.
That sounds. Oh, that's what it was.
Oh.
CompuServe. Wow.
Someone send him another AOL CD, okay?
Needs his free minutes.
SBCglobal.net. Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, Net Zero. Holy crap.
Net Zero.
Alta Vista.
Ooh.
Oh.
Wow. Boy, that's a walk down memory lane.
Now we're all dating ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, some of us more than others.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
What are you saying about your eyesight?
It's true what they say.
6 seconds, huh?
You should see how big my hands are.
Oh, big forearms, I hear. Yeah, that's right.
They must be hipsters.
Or at least one of them.
Really hairy.
Not a switch hitter, huh?
Well, when you get to my age, you find something you like and you just go with it.
Right. Yeah, no, basically, I think, just to recap, I think this whole, I don't even consider us any sort of celebrities. I don't even know why you guys have us on, unless we're just as filler, but okay, this is going to sound corny and stupid, and I'm blowing smoke up your ass. I love you guys because you guys are super talented. You're super humble. You guys, you're totally inspiring. I mean, if anybody goes on, and I want to make sure we have your Instagrams and everything like that, and I'll put those in the show notes too so people can find you if they don't know who you are. You guys, if you go on like your Instagram or your Facebook, it's always inspiring.
I mean, you look at that stuff, you're like, damn. I'm like, from just A, finding cool tools, B, to posting cool stuff you're working on. You guys are kind of the epitome of what makes this whole thing really cool.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I deeply appreciate that, and even what makes this the coolest thing is, I mean, going to car shows is cool and seeing the cars and whatnot, but the absolute coolest part is getting to meet the people behind it all. You know, like you guys, like, you know, the Robs, the Jimmy Smiths, the Bob Grants, like all these guys that make this whole deal. I mean, maybe we're just all enabling each other in some sort of a, you know, just stick and twisted, just, you know, loony bin asylum or whatever. But
whatever
to me, that's truly what makes it all worthwhile. I mean, is getting to see the true nuts and bolts, you know, air quotes nuts, you know, in this whole industry, you know. And I mean, you know, a lot of people get caught up in the glitz and the glamour of, you know, of the celebrity and the $1 million vehicles and this and that, you know. And I mean, it's really cool, don't get me wrong, but every time we go to SEMA or anything like that, it's literally it's just like a class reunion every time we go there, and get to hang out and just like just poke fun at all our friends, you know, all our super amazingly talented friends. And I mean, thank you, social media, basically, for being able to bring, you know, us, you know, together, basically, with all these people, you know, again, like yourselves, and just being able to, like, meet all these people that are, like, you know, we've looked up to. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've ran across people who have built cars that I've, you know, and build, you know, multiple vehicles that I've just, you know, I can never put a face to them. Then all of a sudden they start following us just out of the blue. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You know, it's like, you know, the Scott Sullivans of the world, you know, and like, these are like the, you know, not that they're gods or anything like that, but like, you know, these are freaking epic freaking car guys, you know. This is awesome, you know.
And they just they'll hang out and talk with you. And
yeah, exactly. You know, just sit there and just, you know, talk crap with you, and just like, you know, just talk shop and just whatever, and just like getting to see how demented these people are, and just amazingly talented, and, you know, again, like you said, just to become so inspired. It's like, that is, to me, is priceless. Just to be inspired is like, you can't put any sort of dollar figure on it, you know. And to me, that's the best part in the entire universe. Right. And then get to basically you feel like classes in session every time you know, even if you're just out partying with these people, it's like, it's just, you're always learning something from them, you know. So I think that would be the takeaway that I would hope that someone who's just getting into this whole deal would gain from it, you know, because I mean, you know, it's so cool just being able to just feel like you can build anything from nothing, you know.
Right. I mean, we've had people come up to us even at SEMA like, hey, you know, my son's kind of getting into fabricating or whatever, wants to get into hot rod building. You know, what kind of words of advice would you give to him? And I always say, you know what? Talk to the older generation. Talk to whoever you can. Just kind of close your mouth, suck it all in, and just kind of glean all the information that you really can from all these different people, because everybody will have a different view, a different take on it, different, you know, a different way to shape things or whatever. There's always a different perspective to be seen. So if you can really sit there and just take it all in and not be closed-minded and say, like, I'm the best at this, I'm whatever, I don't want to listen to what you have to say. I mean, you'll pick up a lot of stuff if you're able to just open your mind up and just, you know, talk to everybody that you can.
Right.
Yeah, because of course you can always pick and choose like how you want to approach things, but it's hearing how everybody else does it, or like that helps you like, all right, what am I most comfortable with? You know, if I want to shape this compound shape, am I going to make it out of 2 pieces, or am I going to make it out of 1? Am I going to use my Harbor Freight planishing hammer to make this shape, or do I want to use my, you know, $5,000, you know, CP hammer? You know, it's like, it's just, or do I want to use a freaking hammer and a stump? You know, it's like, it's all whatever people are most comfortable with. And that's what I want to, like, I think that just reiterate that people just, if they want to do it, just freaking do it. You know, don't be scared. Don't be scared of messing up.
You know, I think that's probably the biggest thing for the younger generation is that they've been told so much that they're going to screw it up. And you've got to start somewhere. And if you don't have anybody
every single day, you know, it's like, come on.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, if you don't have, you know, if you've had the courage squashed out of you, then you don't want to pick up that piece. You don't want to pick up that tool and damage something. And so, I think so many people are stuck on, I don't want to screw it up. I'll wait for somebody to teach me. And I think most craftsmen had a little bit of guidance, but most craftsmen have taught themselves almost everything.
Right. It's a little bit of guidance and a lot of bit of time.
Absolutely.
A lot of bit of freedom to be able to just kind of do whatever you want and make mistakes.
Yep. Yeah, it's like you don't need that $10,000 Miller Dynasty machine. You can get stuff done with whatever that you want in order to weld glue two pieces of metal together. It's just
right.
Just matter how much effort you want to put into it.
I was like, I'll never claim to be a welder, but I can put two pieces of metal together pretty decently. So
right.
I can weld. JB weld.
Right.
And my dad's a TV repairman.
Oh boy,
it's a complete set of tools.
Well, I think a lot of it too is a lot of the older guys sometimes kind of look at the younger generation and they just like, oh, I'm not into what those guys are doing, and they don't really want to talk to them. I mean, some of the younger guys, they're into the import stuff. I'm cool with that. I mean, I like a lot of the import stuff too, but some of these guys are like, nope, not going to talk to them. Don't care for what they do. They don't get it. It's like they don't get it because there's nobody there to mentor them.
Not a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Hey, I may not like the style the guy's doing, but the guy has the enthusiasm, and that's important.
Right. It's the enthusiasm and the passion to make whatever they want happen. It's like, some people are very quick to criticize people's builds and this and that, which, I mean, everybody kind of does. But at the end of the day, if that guy built what makes him happy, that's all that really matters. And who are you to try and naysay or try to take that away from him?
Yeah, as long as it's safe and not going to fall apart on the road, like some build that we've rat rod that we've seen.
Right.
I'd say that's where I put my foot down. But other than that, it's like more power to them. If they want to put whatever shape that they want to it, then cool. As long as they're being safe,
I remember years ago, I went to a car show one time, and my stuff was not ready. And I was kind of critiquing everybody's stuff, and I was being real loud. And one of my buddies called me out on it. He goes, "At least this guy's having fun with his stuff." After that, I've never been the same. After that, I don't critique nothing. Hey, if I'm not really a crazy fan about what I'm about ready to walk up on, I'll just kind of take a quick pass at it and keep walking. But I won't say nothing.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's that guy's favorite car, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, as long as somebody's building something, this whole thing progresses. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the point of it. We don't want to lose this. We don't have a generation that grows up and goes, well, those guys are complete dicks.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Why do you want to be involved with that? We can't all be elitists. That'd be, dude. I mean, there's elitists in anything, but
sure.
Right.
God, dude.
Yeah, but it's always good to see like the garage builds that just come out of nowhere and just just blindside everybody with like, holy crap, that thing is amazing. Like, oh, this guy built this entire thing, did the paint all by himself, all out of his house.
Yeah. See, that's why I love. Yep. We've discussed this a lot, and the cars are built in a 2-car garage by a guy and a couple of his friends over 4 or 5 years, and they just did the best that they could do. I mean, we all do that. We'll fabricate something like, you know what, I can do this a little bit better, but they do, and they turn out this incredibly bitchin' vehicle or just a part on a vehicle because they took the time. That's what we love seeing is the real world stuff, not these 7-8 figure builds. They're beautiful, but they don't captivate me.
Right, exactly.
Attention to detail doesn't cost a lot of money. It really doesn't.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that's kind of falls under the generation of, I got a plasma table. Cool, it looks like an erector set. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I may cut things out by hand, and it may take me a lot longer, but it doesn't look like an erector set.
Yeah.
So...
and on the same token, though, there's the guys out there where you can tell it's like, hey, what do you do for your day job? I make wrought iron, fences. Oh, you never know. And it's kind of like,
Never would have guessed.
Yeah, your frame rails are 18 inches on center. Nice.
Oh, you're a carpenter. Oh, good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's reconvene because I want to go over tons of stuff with you guys, but let's make this a point somewhere between now and that show that everybody thrashes for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Survivor.
Wait, which show is that?
Survivor, Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
If nobody's done one yet, I'm going to make a logo that looks like the Survivor logo. It's going to say, like,
Nice.
it's like
The
outwit.
tribe has spoken.
You have been voted off the island.
Don't be the weakest link.
Outfab, outpost. Oh wait, outfab, out hashtag, out thrash,
Out monster.
out monster. But there was a little Diesel Brothers project you guys did.
Yeah.
Not to go deep on it, because I think that warrants almost an entire episode unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I would
got-
definitely say it would. There's so much to go into that. It is. I mean, obviously, it was an honor to even be on a TV show in this day and age.
Yeah.
But our buddy Joel from Overkill Racing and Chassis, he brought us on, along with a bunch of other amazing fabricators that became our real good friends. Tom Coldheart Art, Mark Winchester. Yeah. The list is endless. I don't want to, I feel bad for leaving anybody's names out, but even the guys out there, Sparks Motors. It was just like, it was such an amazing, incredible experience. Talk about kind of a thrash, but basically on our own accord, because like, what do you think about this? Yeah, let's do that. Let's just keep adding more work to it for ourselves, for this deadline.
We need it done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this list is supposed to get smaller.
Yeah, it's like, but when we showed up, it was basically a shell of a cab, a rolling chassis, and suspension that was marginally hung. And in
That's
roughly,
my nickname, by the way.
That's awesome.
Oh, and my bottle's empty. That sucks. Anyways, so yeah, we basically took it from that to done in 7 weeks worth of time, roughly.
Yeah.
And there wasn't one panel, one bracket. There wasn't anything that was bolt on that thing. Everything was touched. Every panel was custom. All the suspension components, like I said, the engine bracketry, everything top to bottom was custom on that thing. So, everybody just killed themselves. We had a small army working on that thing, and it was 10, 12-hour days, and, I wouldn't replace it for anything. Working alongside some of these guys that were just so talented, I had so much to learn from these guys. It was amazing. Sometimes getting thrown into a project like that, sometimes you figure like, oh, there's going to be egos, there's going to be this or that, or people will butt heads, but for some, like Joel from Overkill, he just put together an awesome team. Everybody meshed really well, and with sleep deprivation and stuff like that, and differences in styling, you're going to kind of come to different little artistic differences, I guess, if you will. But at the end of the night, we all went out, had beers, laughed, and had a good time, and it was just the most amazing experience ever.
Awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, it was really, really cool. And basically, we were basically put in charge. It was basically me, Greg, and then Tom. We were basically thrown in there just like, all right, here you go. Just figure out all the sheet metal. And, oh, by the way, the cab has to be able to come off the all-tube chassis and roll cage. And so, the floors have to be actually be able to unbolt out of there, make it all modular. Oh, yeah. And so...
Yeah. So the whole interior, the floor pan, the trans tunnel, everything comes out with 101 bolts.
Wow.
ARP bolts, mind you.
Yeah, ARP bolts,
nice.
of course. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob rules.
Nice
Bob
crossover.
See, connecting dots here, and then another thing, like one of the trips where we left and then came back, and our job was basically to do the basically the whole front clip was left, inner fender wells and all that stuff. But due to the time crunch, I'm looking at this thing, and I think Greg had gone home early because he had something to do. But so I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, how the heck are we going to actually make all these aftermarket panels try and fit worth of crap, all the gaps were just horrific, it's just, it's all just aftermarket sheet metal. It's just not meant to fit, like a freaking Riddler car of any sort.
Yeah. Hetero in Taiwan.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, it'd be so much easier if we just welded the whole front end together and just made our own gaps and then made like a, kind of a Corvette size, a mid-year hood basically for the thing. And long story short, I got with Joel and, got with Damon, the body guy out there. And I'm like, so what do you think if we just weld the whole frickin' front end together? Then we don't have to worry about any sort of inner structure, inner fender wells, all that stuff. It saves a lot of fabrication time. And, it creates more work, but at the same time, it also will save on some body work trying to, fitments and gapping and all that crap, let alone once it's all painted, you have to bolt all the crap together and make it all fit again, and so it just worked out perfectly that everybody was on board with it. And it's like one of the most, integral parts of that whole thing, that, it fits around the turbo sticking through the hood. And, it was another one of those things that, we weren't sure because Kip wanted to run the compound turbos. And so, we ran the big turbo out in the front of the thing, which is a very polarizing, design, aspect of that whole vehicle. But
yeah, it's a very love it or hate it kind of feature. But literally, we hung the turbo from a cherry picker for probably about 45 minutes to an hour, trying to place it in different positions and trying to figure out, can we hide this somewhere? Okay, if this thing's laid out, is the wheel gonna hit it? Can we mount it in the rear? No, we can't because of the tube chassis design. We can't run all the piping through it. I mean, it was really the only option. It was going to come through the hood, and that was it.
This is a 98 millimeter turbo. I mean, the thing's like the size of our heads put together. I mean, the thing is a giant freaking, turbo sticking through there. It's like there's literally nowhere to put this thing. We were talking about all sorts of things trying to make it actually fit, let alone have the exhaust come into it and then go back out of it, because obviously it had like, a 4.5 inch or 5 inch, freaking, exhaust coming out of it. I'm like, well, we can't go out of the fenders of the thing, so we could do like a reverse collector, basically going from the 4 inch into like 4 individual like 1.5 inch tubes maybe, or 2 inch tubes, and then you could like snake those out of the fender, so there's all sorts of different things that were tossed around, which I still think would be kind of cool actually to do a reverse collector into exhaust outlet. But yeah, again, that's like the first thing that people look at on that thing and are like, oh, it looks hideous with the turbo, or people really freaking dig it because it's a diesel. And like it really just came down to like there was nowhere else to put it. So
it comes down to the necessity is the mother of invention. So
right.
I think that's kind of what I like about the truck. There were so many different disciplines and guys working on it, and the entire package at the end looked like a very nicely designed truck. It really did.
No.
Yeah. And you got guys that are strictly diesel guys, guys that are strictly 4x4 guys. You guys are hot rod fabricators, and so it all seemed to mesh pretty well.
Right, and like I said, that all kind of comes full circle to having Joel assemble such just a great team, and somehow he just handpicked them and he nailed it.
Yeah, and we didn't kill each other in the process of. So we would go out to dinner and just bounce a bunch of ideas.
Yeah,
diesel guys look like a fun bunch to hang around with too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting crew, and there was never a dull moment.
Yeah,
between a lot of colorful language, a lot of energy drinks, and occasional fireworks.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like those guys that pull some pranks. You got to be careful. You're almost afraid. What's coming next.
Yeah, it's definitely a boys' club there. That's for sure. There are no boundaries. Everything is free game right there. Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate with the different stuff we've gotten to work on, between hot rods to concept cars to now a TV show and just kind of doing our own thing. We've kind of done a little bit of everything, and we're very grateful. But at the end of the day, we're still pretty small fish in a very large pond. So we're just grateful for anything that we're able to be a part of.
Right on, man.
But all those guys that mentored you guys back in the days, and guys that you guys looked up to, believe me, there's guys out there that are looking up to you guys right now. So
which is a really weird and scary thought.
Well,
really
you guys are good ambassadors for the hobby. You really are.
Yeah. Ambassadors or bastards? I
however you want to take it, whatever works.
Ooh.
Yeah. Inglorious ambassadors.
Come on.
There's another SEMA t-shirt. There we go.
And I definitely encourage anybody, if anybody, any of the listeners ever really want to like come up and talk to us just about anything, I mean, we have no problem answering questions. It's just, if you want to know about stuff, it's like there's no secrets here. It really is. It's just work, and it's just desire and passion. That is the bottom line, So definitely, no one is ever too good to talk to anybody.
Amen to that.
And I will vouch for the fact that you have no problem talking about anything. I mean, we've talked about things I won't mention here on the air.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, we don't want to hear it.
Don't. Yeah, we don't want to lose all the sponsors possibilities.
We want to lose all of your sponsor.
Ask for advice, yeah.
All of your sponsor.
I can't say thank you guys enough. I mean, for making time, and it's tough. I mean, everybody's in their own separate area. Shit, dude. Well, we spanned a number of states tonight, didn't we? California,
We did.
Arizona. Holy crap, Utah,
Arizona, Utah, Colorado,
dude.
Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
We nailed it all. And to top it all off, I'm not going to say who it is, but we've got one Brazilian among us.
Alex, you shaved again. You manscaped
Is Brazilian?
again?
Yeah, always.
Had a Brazilian.
Always.
Had a Brazilian.
Oh,
It's Speedo season. I have to.
But as far as you guys, where can we find you online?
Engle Bros Fabrication. Just go to our Instagram. It's the most updated thing. We don't know
Instagram.
what websites are apparently.
yeah,
And
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
And our phone numbers are 1-900. Oh, sorry.
Wow. Yeah, if you want to find them on Grindr, it's Engle of the Dangle.
Yeah.
Angle of the dangle. All right.
Angle of the Dangle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Never heard that one either.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lay awake all night long texting you with new ones.
I don't want to know what you do. At
Wait,
night.
with nude ones? What'd you say?
Oh, I could do nude ones too. Why not?
Oh God, please don't.
I'll be like, oh, wait, what do you see I'm doing an artistic one. I'm doing play on words now with it. I'm doing the Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Oh,
That's an
God,
interesting
nobody
one.
wants to see that.
This is completely different interview than Rob's. That's all. That's not what I signed up for.
Hey, we try to tailor it to our guests. And only nothing but the classiest for you, gentlemen.
I mean, Bob's was insightful. It actually had like real like numbers and stuff like that, and ours had no numbers.
Numbers and facts and historical coolness, and ours was just a bunch of BS, really.
Yours did too have
That's what we
numbers right at the end.
specialize in.
1-900.
Some hidden double entendres. There will be more added to the Facebook post, I'm sure.
Of course.
Never. We'll be
No.
creative with editing things. Can I have you say the following words to make editing easier? Monkey. Spatula.
Yeah.
Oh
this-
God. It's
And,
like
and this is when 6-round podcasts started going down.
yeah, it's like trying to watch White Man Can't Jump on like USA. God.
On a rainy night when you run the cable from your neighbor's house. Not that I know.
Yeah.
Alrighty then,
Gosh.
gentlemen.
All right.
Well, you
Well,
guys
thank you very much.
have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
guys
very
as
much
well.
for having us. Honestly.
Thanks for being
we
here,
had
man.
fun. We hope you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah,
If I could be sponsored by Kirkland in life, I'd be set.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They probably have TIG wire or TIG rod and abrasives, I'm sure.
If not, they damn well should.
Right?
Tig
All
rod
right.
comes in a pack of 500.
Like-
Family size.
You're wheeling out of there with a gross of Oreos, a pallet full of 80 grit sanding discs.
Life size Aunt Jemima. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what though? I'm gonna say it since you mentioned it. I I really got to say that I think Life Size Aunt Jemima would be the greatest name ever for a funk cover band.
Life size. Nice.
Oh, someone's getting that URL right now.
Brian's already got it.
Yep.
I am going to call this one Life Size Aunt Jemima, though. That's going to be beautiful.
Sweet brown sugar.
Hey, Eric, that was your nickname in high school.
Yes, it was.
We're not allowed to say what Alex's was.
No.
I prefer white chocolate, but you know.
Yeah, white chocolate.
Thanks for having us.
Dude, looking forward to having you guys on again, man. Thank you.
Do you think they will?
Anytime.
Well, they'll do anything for $1. I've seen their
I think this is the letting us down nicely thing. They're never going to call us back.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
this doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah. Very rarely.
Happens to lots of guys Eric's age.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, wait, it happens to lots of guys Brad's age.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Dave and Greg Engle for coming on the show, having a good time with us. Again, we do look forward to having them again, no matter what they think we wrote in their yearbook. And man, thank you guys for hanging in there. Thanks for listening. And well, heck, I guess since Brad wasn't here, we'll say goodbye for him. And until next time, I'm still Brian.
I'm Alex.
I'm still Eric.
Thanks again for listening. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to keep up with us gearheads over on our website at www.round6pod.com. And if you'd like to, we invite you to follow along with us over on Facebook, Instagram, and be sure to check out all of our latest videos on youtube.com.
I want to hear the dubstep version of this whole podcast.